about to break. Just break away. Break away. Just break away. Now I'm starting to see the truth. Baby, I'm moving.
NURC is the National Underwater Robotics Challenge, and we created it to give teams, robotics teams, another way to test their ability to solve problems in very unfamiliar situations. Being underwater introduces a whole new set of problems, both navigation-wise and just not leaking. We're trying to build this community where all these people get together and help design the robots to be able to compete in this competition.
I'm gonna get ready to toss it to the interview. Well, we are back here with Arnell interviewing a student from the Electric Eels who just went in the water. They're getting all set up and ready to go. We will throw it down to Arnell in the pits. So the theme of this year is looking both into renewable energy, but also exploring what it would be like to have the ROVs in a cavern. The kind of the conceit or the story behind this mission is that you have a team of researchers who were going down to service a joint geothermal nuclear plant in Alaska, which is right near the Ring of Fire, a heavy geothermal activity zone. And so they got trapped in a cave, so the ROV needs to rescue them.
We even have an ROV kit that we designed that teams can buy so they don't have to learn how to go source all those individual things. They can focus more on the engineering and designing of solving the problems of how to accomplish the tasks in the mission. So we're trying to make it so it's a lower introductory price you have to pay, both knowledge-wise and money-wise, to get into the competition. And the hope is that you get interested and then you invest more in your technical knowledge and hardware that you want to get, and maybe even form your own team rather than working with an ad hoc team.
How difficult is this for people?
It's crazy difficult because it's way harder than like driving a car. You have to worry about both the front, back, left, right, but also the up and down in the water. And so it is quite the challenge because moving in water, anyone who's tried to learn how to swim knows that it can be really hard.
We're trying to build the STEM ecosystem in Arizona. We have age categories that go from grade school all the way up to adults. So we're trying to make STEM part of the family structure. It's not something just a group of people do, but anybody can do.
Hello and welcome to the 2026 National Underwater Robotics Challenge and this year's game, Duckie Disaster. Several cargo containers have washed off of a cargo ship in the giant depths of the ocean, releasing into the water several rubber duckies, among other items. Our ROVs have been commissioned to help clean up a bit of the mess and explore the area around the containers. The National Underwater Robotics Challenge, founded in 2007, challenges teams of all ages to build an ROV to address the year's challenge. Using teamwork and various STEM skills, these teams have risen to the occasion to be able to face this year's game. With that, let's meet our first team up on the deck for this evening, the Desert Ducks.
Different places for our manipulators to be placed. So one of our manipulators is the net, and it can pick up the beacon or the duck depending on where it's placed in the boat. When it's on the top of the ROV, it can pick up the beacon, and when we slide it out of here with the custom 3D printed brackets we can put it on the bottom. and that helps us pick up ducks. And a competitive advantage with the net is we can pick up 2 ducks at a time, and that helps us have quicker cycle times. And also the net, how it works is basically you nudge the duck a little, and then it'll kind of jump up a little, and then you can just catch it in the net. So we also can use this net like rod attachment, so we can take off the net piece and add different manipulators. For example, we have a hook piece, and we also have a mustache piece, kind of, which opens or locks the vault, and our hook piece can pick up the fuel cells. So yeah, our system for different manipulators is pretty cool.
And here we have the Desert Ducks ready to lower their ROV here into the water once they are given the official sign to go. We have a judge standing by the pool where the teams are competing at the driver's station. They will be the ones keeping track of time and score, which you will see here on the screen. Teams use a tether to help manage data and power to and from their ROV, their remotely operated vehicle. The driver that you can see sitting in the chairs to the right of the screen is not allowed to look behind them into the water during the mission. They are only allowed to use input from the camera. The team members managing the tethers are also not allowed to feed information to the driver. Our first team up is the Desert Ducks. They are from Chandler, Arizona, right here in the great state of Arizona. There are 6 students on the team. They've been a team together for 5 months. What you're seeing live here on the screen is the view from the ROV itself. This is that camera that teams are allowed to use to navigate through the water. This is very similar to the view that the driver is using. We are just getting things set up here. You'll be able to tell when the match starts, when the run starts rather. In the lower right-hand corner of the screen will be a timer. We'll also be keeping track of the scores as we go. And they are off. Our first mission starting here at the National Underwater Robotics Challenge. The Desert Ducks diving under the surface towards the first container. This team is most excited to complete the missions with the different ducks they have to capture. They also have this beacon here. They're trying to float off of the surface of the pool. They have a net attachment on their ROV, which will be used to complete several different missions throughout their runtime here. We've seen them have great success throughout their qualifying runs. All teams who are going to be competing in official scoring rounds tonight have completed qualifying rounds, going for the best score possible at some of these missions. Now you'll see them Taking a look at that iconic Arizona license plate identifier on one of the containers, there are 3 total license plate identifiers that the teams will need to look at and then report the value back to the judge. Each team will have a random set of license plates, so no teams will get a repeat there. Looks like they are back in the water here after returning, trying to go for another beacon there as we see the glowing lights. Carefully navigating their way through the surface, running nearby one of the containers and trying to come back to home base. Those items must be retrieved there. You'll also notice that underneath the surface of the water, it is very dark. We've actually made sure that the lights underwater are turned off, simulating a nighttime float on the ocean. There is a way to increase their visibility there in the depths. We'll see if this team ends up going ahead with that option. And to be clear, that the lighted globe there is the cargo tag recovery. Now they are going towards the coral reef. Coral reefs are one of the most important ecosystems we have here on the planet. And these coral reefs have gathered some debris. Teams receive points depending on how many debris they return back to the surface. 10 points each for debris, up to 30 points maximum for this task. Looks like they're going for another piece of debris before they return to the surface. There are also these beacons on the reef. Identifying those beacons to the judge will also yield points for the team. Looking at about 16 minutes remaining here in the mission. ROVs are usually built to remain neutrally buoyant as much as possible in the water. Having to return this weighted debris can be a challenge for the teams because they are now fighting against the weight of that, trying to sink to the bottom, as we see happening here with the desert ducks. Their robot, of course, is called Pelican, having the large beak there with the net to pick up the different items, return them home. One thing that's been particularly impressive about our variety of teams here is using simple manipulators to complete different tasks underwater. Sometimes just a simple fishing net could be all that's needed to complete most of the missions. Being able to identify those simple solutions shows their engineering creativity throughout this process. The desert ducks have successfully retrieved 2 of the debris. They are throwing the ROV back in the water, trying to score as many points as they can in the remaining minutes of the match. They're about halfway through their time so far. Rather, 20 minutes are for the mission, 30 minutes maximum. There are bonus points awarded if all tasks are completed within 15 minutes. And then some additional bonus points as well if tasks are completed under 20 minutes. Looks like they have a ducky that they have gathered. There are 5 total of these regular rubber duckies throughout the pool that they have to pick up and return to the surface. There will also be special ducks that they need to identify, which we'll see here on the depths of the floor. Looks like we have 2 ducks returning their way to the surface. 15 points each are scored for a duck that's returned, up to 75 total. And the Desert Duckies have been awarded a total of 55 points so far by the judge. That does not take into account any bonuses they may have received. When we have final scores, we will make sure to report those. The ducks have been returned to the surface, quickly clearing the ducks out of the net, returning the ROV back to the water. Having multiple of their team members at the poolside able to recover the items from the ROV has come in handy for this team throughout their missions. Going for duck number 3 in the net. You see the glowing fuel cells there, waiting to be returned to their designated holding area. But it looks like the Desert Ducks are living up to their name, picking up their relatives there up off the bottom of the pool. Going for duck number 4. Trying to get both ducks in the same location here. There is a light switch as well nearby if they can hit that. They may end up scoring that in the process of retrieving the ducks. And the light switch is on. Let there be light here as the pool is now lit up. While a lot of these teams do have lights on their ROV, as we saw earlier, having some lighted atmosphere will make the tasks much easier to maneuver around. As the ROV goes after both ducks, has them secured in the net. Going for their final ducks there, now having to extract themselves from the position they're in. They're behind a couple containers with respect to the driver's station. And they have identified another license plate, perhaps. One thing to keep in mind is that the tether, you can see the wires hanging off of the ROV, can easily become tangled around something if the wrong movements are taken. So not only does the driver need to worry about the position and orientation of the ROV in the water, but also what path they have taken to make sure they take that return path back to the surface. Items like the reefs as well can pose a hazard to the ROVs, leading to tangles happening. But it looks like they are avoiding that here as the ROV returns to its entry point there. Trying to get pulled up, raise itself up out of the water, remove the ducks from the ROV, and change attachments. Teams are allowed to use different attachments. Once again, keeping with that simple theme that we have seen so far tonight, going for a different attachment to complete a few other tasks. As we saw, they may be going for those fuel cells that were on the floor, the glowing red fuel cells, wanting to make sure we don't have any debris here on the field. For example, radioactive material, of course, has made its way into the Earth's oceans before. And while it will get diluted, we don't want to have that sitting around on the ocean floor, possibly posing a threat to wildlife or any humans that are nearby, as they return one fuel cell and take it to the designated holding area. About 10 minutes remaining in their mission time. We are in full triple digits for the Desert Duckies score. 135 points so far in this mission. Looks like they're going for another fuel cell there on the bottom of the pool. Each fuel cell retrieved is worth 10 points. Must be placed into the hazmat zone. That is the bucket that you see there on the floor. One of the best parts about the National Underwater Robotics Challenge is we have teams of all different ages and experience levels. These are students from the Firewheel STEM Institute as well, helping compete here at NURC. Carefully lining up with the fuel cell. looking to retrieve it back to the home base. The view you see here from the ROV is actually very similar to what operators will see at a nuclear power plant when they're moving different fuel cells around the cooling pools. Lots of the same technology being used, both by our students and our team members here at NURC and professionals out in the workforce. The Desert Ducks working to line up with the fuel cell there are successful, working to retrieve it back to the bucket you see there. Looking for a successful drop off here. It can be tricky to align correctly, but it looks like we are successful. We have one fuel cell scored. We're going to go for that one that was missed earlier. Almost knocking it over. That will make it more challenging to retrieve. But they may try it again here. Looks like it has uprighted itself. These are weighted as well, which will help with the orientation. As they secure another fuel cell, trying to make use of the short distance to its recovery area. And we have another one scored there into the hazmat zone. There is something to be said about how pathing is done in this game, whether you go for the farther missions first or try to complete some easier, closer ones. These missions are towards the deeper end of the pool. The entry point for the ROV is closer to the middle or possibly the shallower end of the pool, which can make some of these deep water tasks more challenging. And we have the third fuel cell recovered, helping boost their score to 165 points. Desert Ducks had one of the highest qualification scores we had at this tournament, so we're expecting to see some pretty exciting things from their mission, and they're just off the side of the hazmat zone. But they will persevere through this one. Grab the fuel cell again. Carefully lining up. They have it secured. Trying to aim for the hazmat zone, and it is successful. There's 4 fuel cells so far into the hazmat zone. The team still has about 6 minutes left. Going towards the container ship with a container inventory check. What will we find in the container? A mermaid, a mysterious mermaid of the deep, has been found in the container. Now, wanting to prevent any further debris from flying out into the ocean, the team is now going to try to close the container door. This can be a tricky task, a lot of drag caused by the door, but they are successfully shutting it very carefully and methodically. Getting closer. You can see the lock on the door as well, but there are points separately for closing the door. Now the team is looking for the last container identifier. Points for identifying the container names. And the bot is out of the water. They are putting a different attachment onto their ROV, trying to finish the last few missions at 4 minutes 30 seconds left. Looks like they may be going for the lock mission here. This was one that was highlighted as one of the mechanisms, one of the challenges they were most excited to complete. Looks like they have built the mechanism to be able to grasp onto the lock. They're not quite finished with locking the container. They're working to line up again, get it rotated. Team carefully working to align on the task. They're going to wait for the OK signal on that one before it's done. Of course, our judges and the divers in the pool will have the final say on what is qualified there for a task. This is a tricky one, having to grasp an object and rotate it. About 3 minutes remaining here. Plenty of time to complete the challenge. But if they successfully close and lock the container, it's 15 points for closing, 35 points to lock, which is one of the highest value tasks available here during the missions. So it is worth a lot of points. And the team working to finish it. They may have been given the go-ahead there. Their score is at 250 points so far. Still about 2 minutes remaining in their mission time. They're going to go for another piece of debris. They've returned 2 so far. They can get 3, maximum 3. 4 points as they use their claw to return one of the debris pieces to the surface. Wanting to return it to home base if they can. Take a look and see if they end up going with that or go back to their starting area. Looking to get a good grasp onto the piece of debris to swim it across the surface, back to home base, back to their driver's station where the tether operators are waiting for the ROV. Lots of drag, of course, caused by that piece of debris, so it can make it a challenge to navigate back towards their destination. Secured the piece of debris. The ROV is back at home base. Will they be going for another mission? Yes, they are. Back in the water. Are we going for the final fuel cells they need to pick up, or are we going somewhere else? Let's find out. Making its way deeper into the waters. There are still a couple unexplored containers there that the team can go see, depending on what their goal is here. Just 30 seconds remaining here in the mission time. Risk versus reward is definitely important in this one. They may be identifying one of the ducks, or they may be going for a different mission. Looks like they are heading out of the container and back to home base. Just a few seconds left to go here in the mission. Swimming back to home base. Way to use a lot of their time efficiently here. They are out of the water in time. Congratulations for a good run here, a good mission time here in the pool. They were able to complete several successful missions, including container lockdown, duck recovery, fuel cell retrieval for several different cells, checking the inventory in the container, and identifying the plates on the container as well. We're going to give them a few minutes to clean up from that last mission, and then we're going to hear from the team members on the poolside deck. We'll be right back with a recap of the events from our first mission of the evening, but stay tuned. We still have several more amazing teams ready to compete here this evening. Well, what a mission we just saw. We saw the Desert Ducks going for a very high score. We'll have that final ranking for you here. Currently it's at 300 points. We are finalizing our scores. They are returning to the pit area after that successful mission. 300 points is close to our maximum possible score. The max score with bonuses is a total of 375 points. So scoring as many as they did is a bonus as well. After an incredible match, I'm excited to say that we have a couple of the students from Desert Ducks available here in the pits. I'm going to hand it on over to Romney to hear a little bit more from the Desert Ducks.
Hear us now? All right. So sorry for those who didn't hear. We just asked Pelican what inspired the name. Real quick, Roberto, you want to do it one more time?
Yeah, so it took us a long time to actually come up with the name because we didn't know what we wanted to call it. So we were deciding between like crocodile or alligator. But at the last meeting, literally before NURC, we decided that it looked like a pelican. And we were really on board with that idea, especially because if you look at our robot, the net looks like the pelican's beak.
No, that's awesome. I really love that. So, as you were doing your run, I saw that you were swapping out multiple manipulators. Can you describe what the advantage was with that and why you decided to go with that type of game strategy?
We decided that we wanted to swap out the manipulators in between each cycle because it would save us the time of putting everything onto one manipulator. And since it's not the same manipulator for everything, these manipulators are specialized for their own fields, and it makes it much easier to manipulate the game pieces.
That's awesome. Yeah, and as we were watching, you had that big open net, and as you're getting those duckies, sometimes they might float up and out. I was just wondering, did you have to use any particular type of driving techniques in order to better manipulate the game pieces? What was it like?
Yes, when we had the net, I had to keep in mind not to go forward too fast or else the robot would tilt up or down. And I couldn't descend too quickly or else the net would just face up to the ceiling.
Gotcha. All right. And then I know usually when you start a match, you have a game strategy or a series of tasks that you want to do. How well did you stick to your strategy? Or was it one for one, or did you have to move around? What was that like?
Our strategy, it was pretty similar to what we've been doing, but instead of grabbing the last fuel cell to put into the bucket, we decided to go for a trash bag instead because we didn't want to go back and switch the attachment, and my drive coach, Afshin, thought it would be easier.
Gotcha. Very cool. So a lot of quick thinking on the fly. Roberta, you were right next to the robot the entire time, coming up and out. What was that like? Did you have to practice a lot with that quick swapping manipulators, or how did that go on the pool side?
So I wasn't personally swapping out our manipulators, our wonderful tether person was, but even sitting on the side of the pool made me really nervous because I know we all wanted like everything, and I'm really proud of all the work we've done, especially with such limited time, and I'm super proud of our drive coach and our drive team.
That's awesome. Well, thank you all so much. We're going to go ahead and meet our next team, Quack Ops. Back to y'all.
Quagent 007, the most skilled secret agent duck in the world. One day, a shipping container carrying thousands of rubber ducks breaks open in the middle of the ocean, sending ducks drifting in every direction. Among the missing is Quagent 007's wife, Agent Quacklin. Determined to find her, Quagent 007 launches an urgent rescue mission to search the vast ocean in dangerous underwater environments. He deploys a high-tech underwater robot capable of exploring places no duck could reach safely. But how does this robot work? And what special tools does it use to find Agent Quacklin? Let's take a closer look at the robot's amazing gadgets and technology. But before we get there, let's meet them.
Welcome Quack Ops to the pool for their mission run. And we are go. The Quack Ops machine going for the reef, looking for the different debris. See quite a bit of glare there on the camera lens, but it can be tricky to navigate underwater with their ROV. Quack Ops look to be navigating towards the deeper end of the pool. The Quack Ops team has 2 different ROVs. Now, teams are only allowed to have 1 ROV in the water at a time. However, they are allowed to swap between ROVs on the surface. Looks like Quack Ops going for the light switch, helping to shed some light on the situation they're dealing with here in the water as they go after one of the ducks available there in the deep end of the pool. Once again, tether management going to be critical here. The cable is long and can get caught around things. Once again, the team members managing the tether are not allowed to communicate with the driver. The Quack Ops team is a unique team here. They have 17 team members from across the greater Phoenix, Arizona area, from Phoenix, Scottsdale, Peoria, Mesa, Cave Creek, Chandler, Queen Creek, and Gilbert. Their team has only been together for 4 days as part of the Arizona State University summer camp program. And they have worked to collaborate and successfully complete challenges. Looks like they are backing out of retrieving that duck, going back to home base. Now that they do have light available in the pool. Activating that switch gives them 20 points, which we see on the board as they retrieve one of the ducks available in the deep end. We'll see that other special duck there on the floor. We saw that earlier out of the corner of their view, turning a duck to the students on the surface. They are going after the container, looking to identify what is in the container inventory. Let's find out. Opening their claw to be able to get a better handle on the situation. Trying to release the object there. Not quite successful at triggering it, but they may go back in for another attempt. They opt instead. It looks like the container door closing. Not sure if that's an intentional move on their part. Going back towards the deeper end of the pool, we haven't seen as many teams that navigate towards the containers through this direction, usually opting to go for the closer side of the pool to the driver. They're going to try for that second duck that they were looking at earlier. Once again, tether management can be a challenge. So it looks like the tether may have gotten caught near the container ship. But they are clear of that. Going towards the coral reef, plenty of points to be scored here with the different debris available. Returning 3 total. There are 6 total available to them. Also seems to be a duck there in the coral reef. Don't want to have plastic cluttering up our coral reef, of course. You see them using the claw mechanism on their ROV. That claw mechanism is built using a 4-bar mechanism. It helps keep each end of the claw parallel, which can make for a stronger and more controllable grip. Sometimes we will see grabbers that are not able to grasp objects as easily because they come loose or are not kept parallel. They see their main objective throughout this competition to complete the fuel cells and save every duck that they can. They still have 14 minutes to go, plenty of time to complete missions. As mentioned earlier, this is a team of students from across the valley, 17 total students that just met a few days ago, and they've gone from strangers to, in their words, from strangers to close groups of friends who built a robot and are very glad to have the experience they have throughout this competition. And we're very excited to have them here as well. Their robots, their ROVs, we have the Duckinator 3000 and Duckzilla. The Duckinator 3000 looking to grab the duck available in the coral reef. They have secured the duck in their grasp, ready to return to the surface. But there may be a wrinkle to this. They have potentially retrieved a duck. It looks like it may have fallen as we see them continue to complete the missions. The wrinkle in this situation, as we have one more duck retrieved back to the surface, carefully navigating their way towards the bottom of the pool. However, these robots do have long tethers. There's lots of area to navigate around as they see one of the wreck plate identifiers. How an Arizona license plate ended up under the ocean is anyone's guess. But we are happy to see the state's representation, even here. Looks like they are aiming for one of the fuel cells. Seeing the situation with the tether, possibly. Yes, they do see the situation with the tether here. Trying to make sure they untangle themselves from that will be a whole other matter entirely. As we see them ring around the rosy of the reef, clearing themselves there. Now the tether management working to clear that out of the reef so that they do not get tangled again. Trying not to get caught on the branches, and they are clear. Excellent teamwork. Once again, the team members that are managing the tether are not able to communicate with the driver. So kudos to all of the team members for their collaboration and thinking under pressure in that moment. With that situation rectified, they are going for the fuel cells. Once again, one of the missions they're excited to complete here as they pick it up and run it over to the hazardous waste zone, just shy of the area, holding on and releasing it into the hazardous waste zone. Looking for other fuel cells, possibly other ducts that are available to them. There is one more plate that needs to be identified, as we see there on screen. They are now exploring inside one of the containers. Identifying another one of the special ducts that's down there. They'll report back to the judge what they see. Looking at about under 10 minutes left to complete submissions at 120 points. They are exiting the container, heading back towards another mission as well. The ROV circling back now towards the driver's station area of the pool. 160 points scored so far, going for another fuel cell. Once again, each fuel cell 10 points for the scorer. To score, it must be placed into the hazmat zone. That is that bucket area you see there on screen, as they have one of the fuel cells in their grasp. Trying to place it down into the bucket, and believe that is a success. Going for fuel cell number 3. There are 5 possible fuel cells to score. Trying to manage the tether situation. To be easy to get caught on different things here. And that's one of the challenges with any kind of remotely operated vehicle, whether it's autonomous or remotely controlled. Managing how data and power get sent to the vehicle and back to the surface. Water can distort the different signals. We even see that with how it can distort light or sound underwater. And we have another fuel cell scored. In fact, that is one of the reasons why nuclear waste is stored underwater, to cool down. Of course, the water will cool it, but it does also prevent the radiation from reaching the surface. Looks like we have lost the feed from the ROV. But our driver still has control as they are going for another fuel cell. Not sure if that was on our end or the driver saw that. Trying to grasp a hold of the fuel cell there on the floor. There are 3 to choose from there. Looking at 180 points so far in this mission. Looks like they have a hold of one of the fuel cells, trying to take it back to the hazardous waste area. While these fuel cells are weighted so that they stand upright, if they are fully knocked over, they will stay knocked over, but they are righting themselves as we see the ROV do. There is some weight to them as well, which can make them trickier to maneuver throughout the pool. And we have a successful drop-off of the fuel container. 190 points on the board for Quack Ops, trying to push to 200 for the mission so far. With another fuel cell scored, that would reach 200 points. And it looks like there's still a duck up for grabs as well. About 5 minutes left to go here in the mission time. Teams have 20 minutes, but there are bonus points if they finish within 15 minutes. We have a duck being retrieved back to the surface. Each duck worth 15 points. 5 duckies available for retrieval. As we're returning up towards the surface, back towards the tether management. 215 points scored for Quack Ops as they go towards more debris. Securing one of the pieces of debris, just shy of grabbing a hold of it. The views you see on the streamer from the various cameras we have underwater, all the driver can see is the view you see now. This is the onboard camera that they are using to navigate throughout the water. Building a underwater robot is tricky because not only do they have to worry about moving left to right, front and back, but also up and down the water, not to mention the orientation of the machine throughout that. Seeing good persistence here from the team, hoping to have grabbed a hold of the debris, but not quite. Coral reef proving to be a challenge, but there's some good persistence here as they push it closer to their goal. About 3 minutes remaining in their mission time so far. They return one debris towards their operators and are back in the water trying to complete some last-minute missions here. Making a beeline for the other debris there at the bottom of the water. They've now pushed towards 225 points if they secure the debris. That's 10 points each one retrieved. These could be easier points to score because they're a lot closer to that entry point in the pool. They are carefully lining up to grab a hold of the debris. They may have successfully retrieved it here. We'll see as they make their way towards the return point where their tether operator is awaiting their safe return. And another piece of debris has been retrieved by Quack Ops. This is no mission impossible for them. It looks like that container door has become shut. Of course, we will have final scores available after the mission is complete. Going for a reef identifier possibly, or debris, those different colored tags available on the reef. 235 points scored so far. 1 minute to go. Looks like they are going for that piece of debris there on the reef, trying to score some last minute points. 10 points, of course, each for debris. .550 seconds remaining in the mission. Trying to return to home base as time is lapsing as well. And I believe that is the mission. Excellent work to the Quack Ops team. That was a hard-fought mission as well. We are going to be tabulating the final scores. Speaking of which, we have final scores from that first mission run. 320 points on the board for the Desert Ducks. We will be back with your final scores from the Quack Ops. We'll also hear from one of the students there after we summarize the mission. Quack Ops had a very successful mission run, completing several of the fuel cell drop-offs, being able to recover some of the trash from the reef and identify some of the licenses on the wreck of the cargo ship. Quack Ops, we are going to be going live here to one of their students here in just a moment to hear a little bit more about the mission, which was a successful one. Let's hand it on over in just a moment to the pits. All right, let's hand it on over to Romney and one of the team members from Quack Ops to hear a little bit more about that last mission.
Down here in the pits with Quack Ops, so I have Austin here with me. So, Austin, 2 robots, 4 days. You met your teammates just, a couple days ago. How did that whole experience go for you? Can you give us the rundown of how your week went?
I'd say for having 4 days, I didn't expect how well we performed tonight. Just having a short amount of time and all of us coming from different backgrounds, it was really jarring at first. Like, we could talk about how we all were just at the tables, like separate tables when we first came in, and now we're together, we're huddling, we're cheering. So I'd say this is probably one of the best experiences I've had, and I'm glad that I got to experience it.
That's so awesome. We're so glad to have y'all here at this competition. So I have to ask, tether management, how did that go during the run?
Yeah, so we realized we were stuck on something, and we were like, what is it? And then we found out it was the coral, and I'm actually really happy with how tether management was throughout the whole time. It was very good. It was just that little mess up we had at the end with the coral, but I think we were able to come back.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, very exciting. So 4 days you've been together, and when you're doing, when you have a team, you have a competition, you have a strategy, right? And you have been together for a relatively short amount of time. When you got into the water, what went according to plan and what surprised you?
So fairly almost everything, actually. At the beginning, we went around and we didn't know how the lights were going to affect the identification of like the colors. So we decided that we would check those out first. If we could identify them, we'd go flip the switch if we couldn't. So that worked out. Then I kind of just forgot a little bit about the wreck identification. So we kind of had to circle back and do that. So that didn't go according to plan. And then some of the lock, you could see us go in and try to like press the button and get the thing to flip up, which that didn't quite work. But everything else almost ran smoothly, and I was just happy to have my teammates there helping out.
Yeah, were you driving the robot for those runs?
Yes, I was.
So how much experience have you had with underwater robot driving?
This is my first time. I have had a little bit, or I'd say a decent amount of experience just driving robots. I did FTC for about 3 years now, but nothing underwater. So this was kind of my first time going in and just realizing how hard it is to actually control that and keep it steady underwater.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for spending some time answering some questions. Of course. We are going to go ahead and meet our next team, the typewriter repairmen.
We have the typewriter repairmen on deck, ready to rock and roll for their mission. Typewriter repairmen are one of the longest running active NURC teams that we've seen here. There are 4 team members. They are competing in our adult professionals category.
I know what's going through your mind. There's an ache or I know how you feel it now as I look deep in your eyes.
Just getting a few things set up here before we begin our mission time. Whoa. Whoa. While we wait for them to begin, I can report that the score from Quack Ops has been finalized at 245 points. Excellent work to the teams that we've seen so far. Excited to see some other of their missions tonight. And we are go! Typewriter repairman diving under the surface, going towards the container. Navigating around the back of the different containers. Possibly going for the switch there that activates the underwater survey buoy, helping shed some light in the underwater. There are also points awarded for that, but more importantly, they're able to see their surroundings a lot better. Can improve the camera quality as well. Some of these cameras are designed to function in low light, but that can change their quality or perhaps even make it so they can't see certain colors, which is important for some of the mission tasks. Typewriter repairmen looked like they are troubleshooting possibly a tether situation. They may not be. Maybe taking a circuitous route towards the deep end of the pool. Typewriter repairman now looking towards the deeper end of the pool. Possibly heading back towards home base. They've returned it back towards home base. Looks like they're going to recalibrate here. Get untangled from the tether. It looks like it had wound its way around the ROV, making things trickier to deal with. They're going to make a beeline now for the deeper water, having lost a little bit of time, but they have secured. It looks like they're juggling the lighted beacon there. And that has been returned to the surface. ROV now heading towards the depths. We see that switch down there, looking to turn the lights on, perhaps grab a Duckie for their troubles. Their claw mechanism trying to get leverage on the switch. And there is light. They've identified one of the wreckage's license plates. If this game is anything to go by, our Arizona license plates must be shipped by cargo ship and have unfortunately met their demise here at the bottom of the ocean. They're also identifying one of the unique ducks that we see. We've changed those up a little bit. While the teams were able to practice with all the field elements, all of the ones where there are points for identification have been modified or moved around so that no team has an unfair advantage in this competition. We have a duck going selfie mode on the way back to the surface. As we get closer to the surface, teams are not allowed to use the tether to pull up their robot. We are not seeing that happen here. Aiming closer for the surface, it can be tricky to see as we look at the perspective of the ROV, some of the light being blocked by the duck in their control, but they clear it out of their system. ROV is above the surface as they, looks like they're clearing one of the mechanisms, getting ready to place it back underwater. Looks like they're going towards that container ship. Typewriter repairman with a score of 70 points so far. What you see is the live scoring. We do have a duck in the container as well for identification, but more importantly, there's the mysterious container inventory. Let's see what's inside door number 1. Making sure we're aligning on door number 1 here. with the water currents also available to them. This pool, of course, is not completely static. We have the container inventory has been checked. We see the mermaid rise from its container, wanting to make sure everything that was on the cargo manifest is in fact there, so they know what else debris to pick up. That is another special duck to identify. And now we want to close the door on this chapter of the mission. By closing the container door, that will be 15 points if it's closed, 35 if the lock is turned. Typewriter Repairman now in the triple-digit score. 105 points on the board so far. There are bonus points available for completing missions quickly. As the container door looks like it is shut, of course, our divers and judges will make the final call on that. But they are going to possibly go for the lock mechanism there on the container door. Using their claw to rotate it. We've seen a dedicated locking mechanism. We've seen a multi-use mechanism to complete the lock tonight as well. Typewriter Repairmen are a team from Sierra Vista, Arizona. Been a team since 2009. The robot is named Pearl. It's a new design for the Typewriter Repairmen. They've used a couple different designs through the years, helping create the original Kitbot that we saw the ASU team use, the Quack Ops team rather, in the earlier moments of tonight. As the lock continues to be closed, looks like they've got a good grip on it, and they are engaging the lock in place. 155 points now on the board for the Typewriter Repairmen. They're going for their next duck. We appreciate these ROVs' service to ocean cleanup here. Typewriter Repairmen, one of the features of their ROV that they are most proud of is the compact integrated structure. Packaging is a very important task when creating an ROV. Not only does do the electronics need to be protected from the water, but all the mechanisms need to be able to fit in an envelope that makes sense for the challenge. Commercial ROVs, you'll see, are also streamlined to move quickly through the water. That isn't as much of a task here at the National Underwater Robotics Challenge, but there are some tight spaces that the ROVs need to be able to fit through. As we see the Typewriter Repairman returning a duck back towards the surface. This puts their score over 200 points so far for their mission run, with a little over 10 minutes left to go. And in that short time, another duck heading back towards a home base. Ernie and Bert would be proud. Robot minding the tether there. Looks like getting it caught a little on the claw, but they clear themselves quickly from the tether situation. You'll see some teams add floats to their tether to help keep it on the surface and out of the way. Haven't seen that as much this year so far. As they identify another one of the wreckage plates. Typewriter Repairman now looking for fuel cells, running into one, it looks like a little bit there. We've seen some teams have challenges lining up. There are several smaller targets that these ROVs need to line up on in this year's challenge, which can make it tricky to move them across the pool and also time consuming in order to score points, but it looks like they've got a good handle. on the fuel cell. And they drop it off into the hazardous waste zone. Dive back down for another fuel cell. Typewriter repairmen have 240 points on the board, several minutes to go in their challenge as they return another fuel cell towards the hazardous waste zone. It is 10 points for each fuel cell retrieved, up to 5 may be retrieved during a mission. As a reminder, the maximum possible score, including bonus points, is 375 points. That is 335 points in missions plus 40 possible bonus points. Their robot Pearl going for another one of the fuel cells, carrying it across the field towards the hazardous waste zone. Very precarious grip there, but they are successful with placing it into the hazardous waste area. Going for another fuel cell there on the floor. $260 points scored so far, 7 minutes to go. There are 335 points possible, not including bonus points for the round. Looks like we have another fuel cell dropped off successfully. These fuel cells are in harder to reach places. This can be a more time-consuming task. They may be saving the closer tasks for later as a way to be able to cut off their scoring if they have to, while scoring points rapidly at the end rather than waiting for some of the more time-consuming tasks like this one. Looks like we've got several fuel cells there in the hazardous waste area. Pearl, the ROV, navigating its way towards the shallower end of the pool. Lots of tasks still available to them, including one of the license plates. They will need to report back what's on that plate to the judge. We have multiple judges on the pool side keeping an eye on things, making sure everything is scored. 280 points so far on the board for the typewriter repairman. They're now looking to clear the debris from the reef. And they successfully return the debris back to the driver's station area. Now they are cycling back and forth with some of these shorter tasks since the coral reef is closer to that driver's area towards the entry point of the pool. It can be advantageous to save these for later if you have a mission plan that includes different timestamps to help maximize your score during the limited amount of time you are given to run a mission. We've seen some of the different teams struggle with the bottles that are on the reef. Looks like typewriter repairmen going for the bag-shaped objects there on the reef. They may be easier for them to grip. Many of these teams have had the opportunity to practice with the game elements, so that could be something they figured out throughout today, what objects they want to go for. Since only 3 have to be retrieved from the reef, they may have found that that one is easier for them to grasp instead of the bottles that are there. Typewriter repairman now going back towards the deeper end of the pool. Still about 3 minutes left on the clock in their mission run time. Still a few more ducks to grab, but we are now into the claw game area. The duck is up for grabs there in the middle, in a bit of a bowl that can make it harder to grab from some of the ROVs. In fact, this is the first time I've seen this duck, an attempt to retrieve this duck throughout this evening's missions. Looks like they may have successfully, just out of reach there, trying to reposition their hold on the duck, possibly knock it out of that bowl to make it easier to grab. Looks like they successfully do. Two minutes remaining for the typewriter repairman. Looks like they have a hold on the duck that they are happy with, but it is blocking a large part of their camera view, which will make it harder to find their way out of the container that they are now in. Looks like they may be able to return it to the surface, though. Trying to orient themselves in the water. About 1:45 remaining. 335 points on the board for the typewriter repairman. They removed their ROV from the water. And I believe that is time for the team. 348 points there on the board. Of course, we'll be back with our final scores here after that impressive mission run. And we are back with a recap from the typewriter repairman's successful mission, scoring so far the high score of the event, 348 points in that mission, pushing them ahead of the Desert Duckies, who scored 320. That was an exciting one. Of course, we do also separate things by different categories, separate our teams. We have different levels of competition here. The typewriter repairman, of course, at the top of the boards from that mission, using a multi-purpose mechanism to grasp the rubber ducks, pull them up towards the surface. Able to complete the entire mission run with the same mechanism on board. They did mention it was challenging to figure out something that would work with the rubber ducks, having a uniquely shaped game piece compared to previous years. Of course, having been a team since 2009, they've seen several different evolutions of NURC's history. We're looking forward to hearing from the team here in just a moment. A couple other things, you could see the experience level of the driver being able to navigate their way back from the container where they had the duck as well. And with one of the team members, in fact, I believe it's their driver, I want to throw it down to Romney in the pits.
Thanks, Grace. I'm here with Linus from the typewriter repairman. How did that last run go?
It went basically as perfectly as I could have hoped it to. We had a couple little iffy things. When I was trying to get the beacon, I wasn't quite sure if we had it, and several times we did, and several times we didn't. But eventually it kind of ended up next to the human player, so that's about how good as I could have hoped.
That's awesome. So you've been a team since 2009. You've been around participating in NURC. Tell me, what keeps you all coming back for more?
It's just kind of a fun annual event that we do, and we've done it as a family for so long that it's just kind of a good opportunity to get us together and visiting one another. But it's also just a very fun competition to participate in. At this point, we've kind of figured out most of how to make a robot that can usually do pretty good here. And this year, we are building a different design that has 6 degrees of freedom, it proved itself to be quite useful in this event. As you saw, we were able to grab onto the door and then just roll our robot to open it, because we didn't want to, honestly, we kind of ran out of time this year, and so we just strapped on last year's claw. And because we were able to roll our robot, it was able to still complete all the game missions that we wanted to.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, talking about your robot, in your documentation, you describe Pearl's thrusters in a Kiwi layout. For those of us who don't know, could you describe a little bit more about what that is?
So basically, Kiwi layout, the best of my understanding is it's having the thrusters all be 120 degrees from one another, which allows 3 thrusters along one plane to provide pretty good forward, backward, and side-to-side and rotational movement. I think we first saw it in some first robotics robots years ago, and our team member that designed most of the robot this year, Carol, was just interested in the concept and wanted to implement it, and so we went with it, and it seems to have worked about as well as I could have hoped for.
That's awesome. It's really awesome to see you trying new things and exploring new aspects of robotics. So, during your run, you went through a lot of different types of tasks. Can you talk about a little bit, how did you plan your path to ensure the ultimate success of getting those tasks completed?
So this year, NURC has changed the rules and are allowing us to practice on the field itself. And so we were able to secure several practice runs so we could get a feel for each game object and kind of a nice plan on how to do it. Initially, we wanted to just beeline to the lights to make sure that the stream could have a nice, clean broadcast. But then we realized that since the beacon is glowing red, it's beneficial to go there first and then turn on the lights. And from there, it was kind of just what's in the area to and from the furthest objects, and we just kind of did things as we saw, and I think it worked out.
Obviously, really great job. Always wonderful to watch y'all compete. We're going to go ahead and throw it back and meet our next team, Wobot.
I want all of that in here.
Whoa. Wobot!
Like we said, that is Wobot. Wobot will be getting in the water here in just a few minutes while we get things reset and ready to rock and roll. With that, it looks like we've got Wobot ready to rock and roll here. They're waiting for the count in from the judges. And that is the beginning of time. Wobot in the water. Their robot's name is Irwin, spelled U-R-W-I-N. Underwater robot with interesting name. 2 team members from Chandler, Arizona. Wobot now returning back across the pool. They have a Duckie in their grasp, going towards the deeper end. Rather, that is not a Duckie, that is just the color of their manipulator, I believe. Doing a bit of a barrel roll there in the water. Looking for that light switch. Carefully navigating their way down through the bottom of the pool rather, towards the light switch. They have 2 cameras on their Wobot. Looks like they're at slightly different angles from each other. Looks like they're still aiming for that light switch. Using only the light on board to help align themselves. Wobot uses a custom-built battery and power system and a fiber optic tether system to help reduce the latency on their machine. That goes right in one of the things they wanted to make sure we knew about their team. They came together to build overkill robots, in their words. The team is made of 2 proud mentors of the first robotics competition team, Degrees of Freedom. They are now navigating towards the containers. Not sure if they've opted to go for another mission or if they are trying a different angle on the light switch mission. They also do have one of the license plate identifiers there available on screen. Looks like the Wobot is seeing the sights. Irwin, the ROV's name there, navigating through the water. Looks like the Wobot machine returning back towards the surface. Take a look at their tether, which has made a long distance run across the pool. Maybe caught on something. See the reflection of the surface of the water. Another license plate as well. Wobot swimming through the Duckie debris there on the pool surface, looking at the coral reef. Wobot now looking at another one of the license plate identifiers. It's a good reminder to make sure we are all hydrated here in Arizona. Wobot looking towards the reef. Looks like they are caught near near the container with the open door, it appears. Not sure if they're trying to shut the door or just navigate their way around the pool. Looks like they're trying to push the door shut. It is a heavy door with a lot of drag for the ROVs to push. Looks like they are adjusting their angle. Wobot now has 55 points there on the board. Able to do different identification tasks. Wobot now leaping through the water. Trying not to get too tangled up in their tether as they realign on the container door. Wobot looks to have closed the container door, putting them at 70 points on the board. Waving hello to one of the divers there underwater, ready to assist should it be needed. Wobot still has several minutes left to go in their mission as they trawl across the bottom of the ocean floor there towards the coral reefs, identifying one of the rubber ducks there. Looks like Wobot making its way across the top of one of the containers. Returning back towards home base. Looking again at the coral reef. We see the light on Wobot sweep across the ocean floor as it does a backflip there out of the water. Moving towards the sign, saying hello to the NURC sign there as it gets rescued out of the water. And it looks like that is time. Wobot with a score of 90 points. We'll be right back with your final score in just a moment.
get away. I got your back, I got your back, babe. I got your back, I got your back, babe. Do you trust me with your life, with your life, with your life? Do you trust me with your life, with your life, with your life? You can fall back on me. If you lose it all, I'll be right here for you, waiting.
Well, we have Wobot heading back towards the pit after one of the missions. They were able to score and identify a few different objects, putting their score at 100 points, as is on the board now. After starting off early, struggling to flip on the light switch, they instead opted to go for a few other identification and retrieval tasks. You saw the different cameras on board. Their robot, Irwin, their underwater robot with an interesting name, looking to identify the different areas and also taking advantage of multiple views because sometimes the lighting would wash out one of the views as well. And here from Wobot, we've got two of their two team members there in the pits joining Romney. Let's head down to the pits, hear a little bit more about that mission.
Hi, welcome back to the pits. I have Brian and Steve here from Wobots. So tell me, Wobots, what inspired the team name?
That was my son Josh. Just kind of honor him. We lost him a couple years ago. And when he was small, he would produce or pronounce R's as W's.
That's awesome. Well, really great name. We love it. So, your new team this year, what caused you to get involved with NURC?
I've had kind of a long history with NURC. I've been around since 2007, watching and playing with the robots. This year we wanted to have a team that's kind of a spin-off of the mentors for the first team that we're involved with. And we wanted to enter with the goal of making kind of crazy, ridiculous robots. So that was our main objective.
I love it. So, according to your documentation, you have an onboard battery. So why did you opt for this particular powered method?
We wanted maximum power. We didn't want the voltage loss you get from a tether. Mostly that. It just we were going for crazy amounts of power.
That's awesome. I think we saw that one, especially with the speed of your robot going quick, very fast. So tell me more about the balancing of your robot. It looked like you had a weight on the front and a floater in the back. Can you describe how you came up with this design?
So the theme for our robot this year is being behind schedule. So when the robot was initially envisioned, the intent was to have gyroscopic stability. So basically the robot would orient itself with both depth sensor feedback and gyroscope feedback. We didn't quite get there, and while we were at this event we didn't have time to develop everything. So we went with our plan B, which is to make it just a human-driven thing. And to do that, we had to add some items to make it a little bit more buoyant, accessible. Typically, when it goes in the water, it's completely free to orient, and a human can't drive that. So we did our best to make it drivable. As you saw, it wasn't very easy to drive.
I see. I noticed something else about your robot this year. You had a custom designed joystick. Do you want to tell me a little bit about how you came up with this design?
So again, the intent was our robot has 5 degrees of freedom, and we were trying to lay out the 5 degrees of freedom in the most intuitive way that we could that would match the movements of the robot. It mostly works, except when we don't have our gyroscopic feedback, we see a lot of movement in axes that we don't really want to see, so it's still very difficult to drive. But it's a fun little layout. I really like it.
That's awesome. So, Brian, what can you tell me? What did you enjoy most about this competition this year?
This building robots is just always fun. Just trying to build something so insane. We were just that was the main goal. Winning is kind of second, and which is always nice. But yeah, we only had it at half power, and it was still too fast. So yeah.
Well, your robot definitely made us say whoa when it was in the water. So thank you so much. It was really awesome to talk to you. Next up, we're going to meet Titan Underwater Robotics.
Hi, my name is Jackie Gong, and I am the lead of the ROV and the team as well. So aside from that, I also work on all of the 3D models as well as the prints and all the processing behind it as well.
My name is Li Bin Jin. I mainly worked on the code and some of the electronics for the ROV.
Hi guys, my name is Justin, and my primary contributions to the ROV included 3D modeling, providing tools, waterproofing, soldering wires, and just testing the 3D printed parts and helping to waterproof those as well.
Hello. My name is Jacob Gomez, and I'm a member of the ROV team. I mainly focus on the base station and also help debugging in code and electronics as well.
This is our ROV. Its capabilities include in-place yaw and roll rotation, as well as 6 movement directions: forward, backward, left, right, up, and down, and fast and slow speeds for each of those. Thruster configuration limits our movement in the pitch rotation, but to compensate, we made our gripper able to move up and down with the servo. We also have an inertial measurement unit inside, which allows us to receive gyroscopic data to orient ourselves underwater. Our team's strategy is to use our ROV's maneuverability, camera, and gripper to complete all mission tasks successfully. And we have made our claw for our gripper to be big enough to be able to hold the rubber duckies that will be used in the competition.
One of the major improvements we made to our RV was upgrading the video system. During early testing, we relied on real VNC to remotely view the camera feed from the onboard computer. While functional, we experienced significant latency and low frame rates, often around 2 frames per second. To address this issue, we then implemented a live dedicated HDMI feed that we ran through the firewall. This way we can have about 60 frames per second, which is significantly lower latency. And the higher frame rate provides smoother motion, better awareness, because underwater objects tend to move and we need that real-time updates. Lastly, we would like to thank Dr. Fowler, Dr. George, and the ECS department, ECS ICC, RJ International, RJE Representative Mohammed, and the Titan Underwater Robotics Club, Bobby, and the pool supervisor, Darren, for letting us use the pool. Thank you, judges, for watching. We are Team Titan Underwater RV from California State University, Fullerton. Thank you for watching.
We have Titan Underwater Robotics getting ready to place their ROV in the water as soon as they get the go-ahead from the judge. They are a team of 7 team members from Fullerton, California. They have been a team for 1 year.
So now can you tell me when you want to be in time? There's a million different places and a million different heights. I'll climb the tallest of the mountains, the highest place I find, so that I can look over before me what is mine. Can you say that I disappeared? Can you say that I wasn't there for you when you went into hiding?
We were bringing up the video feed from the Fullerton team, getting ready to start their missions here as soon as they're given the go-ahead from the judge. And we are underwater ready to start here from Titan Underwater Robotics, using their submersible underwater, going for one of the missions there in the shallower end. They're navigating towards the coral reef, moving slowly but carefully. Their robot is named Tuffy. Looks like they are maneuvering towards one of the coral reefs. We have 3 available for them in the shallow end of the pool. Looks like they are staying mostly towards the surface, navigating their way back towards the entry point to the pool. We're seeing a live view from the driver's point of view where they have the different telemetry running in addition to a live stream on the ROV itself. taking a look at from the ROV perspective as well, as we see the bright light there. Until they flip the light switch, that will be the only light available in the water to them. Looks like they're making their way towards the back of the containers. Nearby, one of the container identifiers, as we see on the screen there. Looks like they are orienting themselves in the water. We have several divers there in the water ready to assist the different robots, should it be needed. Of course, there is a little bit of a penalty should a diver's assistance be required during the mission. They look to be heading towards the deep end of the pool once again there. Titan Underwater Robotics has opened up their claw, getting ready to get one of the debris items available on the field. There's several items up for grabs there on the reef. The light you are seeing underwater is powered by a 1,500 lumen flashlight, enough to blind someone underwater, but very helpful to a driver trying to manipulate a mechanism on their robot. Titan Underwater Robotics has scored 30 points so far in this mission with 14 minutes to go. They have 20 minutes total to complete all of their missions, bonus points awarded if they complete under the time as well. Looks like Titan Underwater heading back towards their home base. They return some of the debris they recovered. They have identified one of the duckies there on the floor. It's a unicorn that has made its way down to the depths of the ocean. From the driver's point of view, they're assessing the situation in the coral reef, looking at what debris is available to them to retrieve. We have 40 points on the board for Titan Underwater Robotics. Looks like Titan going for another possible debris recovery. Looks like Team Titan Underwater Robotics trying to grasp a hold of some of the debris there available on the coral reef. There are also several beacons available to identify there on the reef. They are closing their grabber around some of that debris, trying to pull it off of the reef. But it is blocking a substantial part of their vision, so it could make the return trip a little bit tricky for the Titan Underwater Robotics team. The Titan Underwater Robotics team returning the debris towards their surface area. Looks like they're trying to get it free of the coral. They're incentivized to not damage the coral reef towers. So they are trying to carefully remove it without damaging . Buoyancy is a big part of the game here at NURC, where our robots like to be neutrally buoyant if possible. It allows them to maneuver themselves through the water. They do have to contend with objects that are weighted differently. For example, the debris that they are grappling onto likes to float. It is positively buoyant. Whereas some of the other objectives that we saw earlier, like the fuel cells or even the rubber ducks, are more negatively balanced. Looks like they have decided to take a break there from the debris they're recovering. Waving hi to the camera. Possibly reassessing the situation with the debris they were grabbing earlier, or determining what their next task is going to be. Looks like they've opted to not go for the light switch. This is the second team we've seen so far do that. It does take additional time to reach that objective. although it is worth 20 points and does provide a much easier time securing some of the mission objectives. Looks like the Titan Underwater Robotics team looking to pick up the debris again, going for a second try on the debris they were working with earlier. They did take a look around, see how it's attached to the reef. Looks like they're going to do that again. Reopening their claw. About 6 minutes remaining here in the match in their mission so far. They're going for their third try there on the debris, trying to free it from where it is on the coral reef. It looks like it's pretty well tangled around there. They may opt to go for a different task or save some of the time they have left in the mission. There are bonus points for finishing early, depending on what the strategy is that they are wanting to do. Looks like they are returning their ROV from the pool. Giving it a good shove back into the water. Titan Underwater Robotics navigating towards the coral reef. Looks like their robot tends to be more positively buoyant. They've been hanging out towards the surface more so than anything else during this mission. Titan Underwater Robotics surveying the landscape there, trying not to get too caught up on the reef. The reef has gotten a couple tethers so far tonight. Three minutes remaining in the mission time. The Fullerton Robotics team here surveying the landscape of the reef. There are a couple different debris objects they can choose from here to grab. Only 3 need to be may be returned total. There are 6 available up for grabs for the team. 10 points for each object returned to that home base launch area where their tether operator is waiting. Little over a minute to go here in this mission run. Looks like they are trying to attempt another debris rescue here. Titan Underwater Robotics in the pool at this moment. We see them returning towards the surface here, the tether returning as the team member ready to retrieve the ROV as it gets within the zone for retrieval. And they have pulled it out of the water. Looks like they are done with their mission as well. We'll be right back with your final score in just a moment. We just finished seeing the Titan Underwater Robotics team complete their run here at the National Underwater Robotics Challenge. We have a score of 55 0 points on the board for the team. Heading their way back towards the pits, they were able to rescue some of the debris, identify a few different objects. There are several different missions for this year's challenge, allowing for different skill levels, different ROV builds to be successful, but presenting a unique challenge to the teams that are in the water too. The Titan Underwater Robotics team is our second of our two college teams, university teams rather, that are here. Of course, shout out to the team Suboptimal from the South Dakota School of Mines, who were not able to compete this evening, but have been able to join us this weekend and have been an awesome team to have around. But of course, let's talk about the team that was just in the water, the Titan Underwater Robotics team. They are joining Romney in the pits. Let's hear a little bit more about that recent mission.
Hello, welcome back. I have two members from the Titan Underwater Robotics team. What are your names and what did you do on the team?
So my name is Jackie, and I was the lead as well as focusing on the 3D models.
Nice. What about you?
My name is Justin, and I also help Jackie with the 3D modeling, some of the hardware aspects, and some soldering.
Very nice. So tell me a little bit about your robot and how it came to be.
So this robot was from Cal State Fullerton, and it started as a legacy project, and we took over for the past year.
Very nice. So during your run, we got a little glimpse at the driver's screen. We saw a little pop-up on the left side of the screen. Do you want to explain to the viewers at home what was going on there? There was lots of information, and just kind of talk about that.
So I believe the pop-up on the screen you saw was the console. It's the terminal, so we could see the controls. Whenever we input anything onto the controller, it'll be displayed onto the screen so we know what's happening in real time.
Very cool. Very cool. So what did you feel was the hardest task, and what did you feel was the easiest task during your run?
During the run, I feel like the hardest task for us was just mobility. It was hard to I think that just going under the water like in a straight line for us was a little difficult. Our robot tended to drift to the right, so we'd always have to counter that, and it was hard to just go straight, and we'd waste a lot of time doing that.
I see. What was the easiest task for y'all?
I think our camera was really good, so just seeing like the different ducks on the floor, reading the license plate was really easy, but obviously the hard part was getting there.
Understandable. So watching your run, your robot was very steady in the water, was looking really great. What was the main contributor to that steadiness?
So for our robot, we actually have two different speeds. So we have like a normal speed so that we can move around easier, and then we also have a slow speed for things when we were grabbing and getting close to objects.
Very cool. So what did you like the most about this competition season?
I think for us, since we're actually new to competing, this is our first competition. I think just being able to experience, seeing other people's robots and participating as well has been really big for us.
That's awesome. And your time here at the competition, did you learn anything new while you've been here?
Just talking to the other team members, I for sure learned a lot. There were different designs that I'd never even thought of, and I thought that was really cool. A lot of the more experienced team members, they really gracious enough to share some information with us, so I definitely learned a lot.
Well, that's awesome. Great job with that last run. We love to see it. We're so happy you came and competed at NURC. We're going to go ahead and meet our final team, Team Vortex.
Hello everyone, I'm Yahya Muhammad, CTO of Team Nautics from Vortex Academy in Alexandria, Egypt. Now for NURC 2026 Duckie Disaster, we developed our custom-built RV to complete underwater mission tasks with complete precision and reliability. Our ROV basically has a 6-thruster system which is used for smooth navigation and maneuvering, which is integrated by a PIX hook and a pressure sensor to achieve stability and a depth hold. We also use an advanced camera system which is used for navigation and object detection missions which is integrated by a NVIDIA NX. Not only this, but we also use a pneumatic system which is used to control our grippers by using separate control systems which is controlled by an Arduino Nano. Our strategy mainly focuses on two important things, reliability and precision. Using dual pneumatic grippers, we can recover duckies, transport fuel cells. We can also perform container operations, and also we can do monitoring and inspection tasks. Behind our RV sits Team Nautics, which consists of 15 members that are divided into 3 sub-teams: electrical, mechanical, and software teams. But we are a dedicated team working together that can turn engineering ideas into reality. Proudly represent Vortex Robotics Academy from Egypt, and thank you for all our mentors and supporters that made this possible to us. We are Team Nautics, born to sail, built to win. Thank you.
And our final team in the water for tonight is Nautics, Vortex Robotics Academy. They are in the pool with their robot, the Hydronaut. There are 15 students on the team, and they hail from Alexandria, Egypt. Vortex using their unique driver's station to help maneuver around the ability, as we see on the screen here, the different views of the robot, helping them secure that bag, so to speak. Grabbing the debris off the coral reef. Looks like it is caught just a little bit, but they're trying to shake it free, and they do. Returning it to the surface, taking advantage of the multiple camera angles to be able to navigate their way around the water. They also have a timer on board their driver station to help keep within their goal time of 15 minutes. 20 minutes are allowed for the mission, but there is a bonus points allowed if they complete it early. Looks like they're opting to go for the coral reef tasks. Those are much closer to that entry point of the pool, so we've seen several teams highlight them all in one burst. Some teams will go for the deep water tasks first if they can. We saw a lot of teams practicing that off the bat today. Looks like Vortex, though, aiming for the coral reef. Looking to grab the ducky that is on the coral reef. That can be tricky because one wrong move will knock it onto the sea floor. It is also hard to perceive depth with these cameras, especially in the lower lighting. Looks like we have a ducky disaster in the making there. Perhaps just a ducky overboard there on the floor of the shallow end of the pool. Vortex Robotics Academy Nautics going for the duck there on the bottom, just shy of grabbing a hold of it. The camera angle you see on screen is from one of the cameras in the pool. That is not a view that the driver has. The driver only has the views available to them on board, which can lead to a limited window what they can see. They have to practice navigating through the pool in the dark. It can make it tricky when they're grappling with different objects. However, they do have a secure hold on the duck. We have a ducky rescue in progress. Returning back to the starting position. Getting ready to retrieve the duck there from the pool. And they do, successfully returning one duck to the surface, putting them at a score so far of 10 points on the board. Taking a look at the duckies available to them on the floor as well. 25 points now on the board, including that ducky rescue that just happened. It is 15 points for every duck that is recovered to the surface. Looks like they are trying to rescue more debris out of the coral reef. In the real world, we may see robots doing tasks like this as well. Coral can be very sharp for humans that are diving around the area, which can make it more dangerous for them to recover items or clean those areas up. Looks like they have a hold of some of the debris there in the robot's grasp, but it is floating towards the surface. They are regripping and pulling it back down towards where it needs to go by the entry point to the pool. They've cleared the debris out of the gripper on the ROV, trying to go for that third piece of debris, it appears. They are grappling with the reef, knocking another piece of debris loose as they get a hold of the bag that is on there. Looks like they are maneuvering back towards that starting area. So we see the view from the cameras there on the bottom of the pool. Looks like the ROV returning towards the surface, swimming through the coral reef. And we have a third piece of debris rescued to the surface there. 45 points on the board for the team so far. Looks like they are going for another duck that is farther deep in the pool. Trying to recover the duck back to the surface as well. There are 5 total that they can recover. They're trying to re-grip the duck there. "12 minutes or so to go in this mission so far. Vortex looking to grab a hold of the duck that they have been chasing after on the bottom of the pool. The ducks like to follow the tides a little bit here, and that can make it tricky to get a hold of. As we get closer towards that 15-minute mark, teams need to decide whether they want to go for the bonus points and end their mission early, or continue to use that mission time to score more points if possible. Speaking of scoring points, Vortex returning towards the surface with the duck in hand. As they say, a duck in hand is worth 2 in the pool. And that is 60 points scored now for Vortex. Vortex now navigating their way around the pool. There is a cargo identifier tag nearby. They're taking a look at that, perhaps reporting back to the judge. Once again, the name of the game is tether management here. Lots of objects their tether could get caught on. Vortex now goes inside one of the containers. Seeing the duck that is inside there. There's also a identification task there. There's some inventory in the container that we want to take a look at. We'll see if they end up going for that task as well. One of the trickiest parts of these missions is getting out of the containers once you're inside them, but Vortex successfully leaves the container. Looks like they're going to try to push the door closed. 15 points scored for closing the door, 35 for locking it. Locking it has been a tricky task that we have seen so far. That puts Vortex on the board for 70 points so far. About 8 minutes to go in their total match mission time remaining. Vortex now looks to be dealing with some of the fuel cells that are remaining. Teams must retrieve up to 5 fuel cells, place them into the hazmat container. Looks like about 7 minutes remaining here on the time. Vortex managing their tether, looking to pick up another fuel cell, place it in the container. And it just narrowly falls out of the grasp of the ROV. Looks like we may have a secure hold now as they raise themselves up in the water towards the hazardous waste container. Trying to line up with the edge. And it tips itself in. That is a fuel cell scored, it appears, for Vortex Robotics. Of course, our judges have the final say on all scoring here. About 6 minutes to go here in their mission elapsed time. Looking to score another fuel cell if they can. At 80 points now on the board for Vortex. Vortex now going after another fuel cell, available on the bottom of the pool. They have one in hand going for the... Oh, and it just drops out of their grasp. Four minutes to go in the mission so far. Vortex working to maneuver themselves back towards the hazardous waste container. They're carefully lining up with the opening of it, though they are floating to the surface. Hopefully not seeing a buoyancy issue there as they maneuver their way back around. Three minutes to go in their mission time. 90 points scored so far for Vortex. Looks like they are returning back to home base as the tether is being managed. They release the fuel cell from their grasp and head back towards that starting area. Over 2 minutes remaining so far in the competition. They see one of the license plates. About 2 minutes remaining now in the mission time for Vortex from Alexandria, Egypt. Looks Looks like they are navigating towards towards the light switch, it appears. Back behind the containers, they see some of the fuel cells down there. See the other license plate to identify. Vortex navigating their way around that container. We see their tether in their view. They see the light switch available there on the floor. Under a minute to go, and light switch still tipped down. Less than a minute left in the match so far. Trying to score a last-second mission. And we have turned on the lights. As a final farewell to the pool here, Vortex heading back towards home base. 30 seconds to go. $110 points scored for Vortex. Like Vortex may be caught on something there. They can use a diver rescue, but they may have gotten themselves free. Yep, they're pulling the tether out of the pool there. Returning the robot back to home base. And it looks like they've ended their mission time. Congratulations to our teams in that mission as well. We'll be right back with a summary from that mission, and then we will hand it over to the pits for an interview with the team members.
Let's take a journey somewhere far, you and I. Let's get out this place. A one-way ticket to the stars. Follow our hearts, girl, without a trace. Cause we got something rare, nobody else could care. Just say the word and I will meet you there. I'll take you anywhere, hold your hand if you're scared. Cause baby, you know we're the perfect pair. And I won't give up, cause I need you here. I just want your love, I wanna keep you near. So take my hand and I'll guide the way. Just trust your heart, let it take you away, take you away. break it. I'll never break this love we share. No, and I won't give up, 'cause I need you here. I just want your love. I wanna keep you near. So take my hand and I'll guide the way. Just trust your heart. Let it take you away. Take you away. Take you away. And I won't give up, 'cause I need you here. I just want your love. I wanna keep you near. So take my hand and I'll guide the way. Just trust your heart. Let it take you away. Take you away.
It doesn't feel like yesterday. It feels so far away. Now you're gone out of my life. You're gone without a fight. Simple things just take more heart to lay it down. Where would I start? These crazy days we ran the world. Sweeter moments, time stood still. It always seems impossible in the darkness of my mind. Together we're unstoppable. You forever light my skies. Chasing past and chasing you. When you're lost along the way, running on every cloud you get. I'm chasing yesterday. Running on every cloud you get. I'm chasing yesterday. I'm chasing yesterday. It never hurts to turn your back on the things that you got wrong. It always hurts looking back. Find lyrics to a song. Weakest side takes full.
Well, thank you all for a wonderful 2026 National Underwater Robotics Challenge competition. That sums up our final mission of the evening. We'll have a final award ceremony tomorrow. There are other components to their score. Not only were the mission runs counted, but there was also a technical presentation and paper in addition to the intro videos that were seen earlier. Once again, thank you to all of our sponsors for this event, making it possible. Held right here at Arizona State University Polytechnic Campus here in Mesa, Arizona. We'll see you all next year for NURC in 2027.